Nissan just dropped one of the biggest surprises of the year. Out of nowhere, they confirmed that the Ariya, their flagship electric SUV, the one that was supposed to lead Nissan into a new EV era, is being completely discontinued in the United States. Not delayed, not redesigned, not refreshed. Gone. And the craziest part? Hardly anyone even noticed this happening, even though it's one of the clearest signs of how brutally competitive the EV market has become. Because on paper, the Ariya was exactly what American buyers say they want. Smooth power, a futuristic interior, quiet refinement, advanced battery management, and a driving experience that felt more luxurious than what most people expect from Nissan. The design alone looked like something straight out of a concept sketch. Clean lines, premium touches, a floating center console. It was genuinely impressive, but the reality behind the scenes was very different. And the deeper you dig into the story, the more it becomes clear that the Ariya wasn't killed because it was bad. It was killed because it was built in the wrong place, at the wrong time, in a market moving way faster than Nissan expected. You see, the Ariya wasn't built in Tennessee or Mexico or some massive North American production hub. It was built in Japan. That meant Nissan had to ship every US model across the world. That might sound like a small detail, but it changed everything. Every long-distance shipment added cost. Every import meant higher pricing. And worst of all, it meant the Ariya didn't qualify for the US federal EV tax credit. That's a death sentence in today's EV market. Buyers weren't blind. They walked into the dealership and saw a Model Y that cost thousands less after incentives. They saw a Ford Mustang Mach-E that was cheaper, a Hyundai Ioniq 5 that offered more range for less money. Meanwhile, the Ariya sat on the lot at full price with zero rebates. That disadvantage alone was enough to crush the momentum Nissan hoped for. Then came the production issues. Nissan's factory in Tochigi struggled to ramp up the Ariya. There were software delays, parts shortages, and quality control checks that slowed everything down. The Ariya arrived late into a market that was already overcrowded, highly competitive, and rapidly dropping prices. Nissan simply couldn't catch up. By the time the car finally rolled out in meaningful volume, it was already outdated by the price war happening around it. But here's the part nobody seems to talk about. Nissan didn't give up on EVs. They're doubling down. The death of the Ariya is actually the birth of something bigger. Behind closed doors, Nissan is rebuilding their entire US electric strategy from the ground up. They're planning a new wave of electric vehicles built in America, for America, specifically designed to qualify for incentives and compete directly with Tesla, GM, Hyundai, and Ford. The next generation of Nissan EVs will sit on an all-new modular platform that's cheaper, lighter, and faster to build. Nissan says they can reduce production time by more than 50%, which is insane when you think about it. That means lower prices, better availability, and a real chance to win back the buyers they lost. And it gets even more interesting. Nissan is working on multiple body styles, electric crossovers, electric sedans, and yes, even an electric pickup truck that could enter one of the hottest markets in the country. That truck alone could change everything for Nissan in the US. But here's the twist. Even though the Ariya is dead, it will live on in ways most people won't notice. Its battery cooling system being reused. Its motor design being improved, not abandoned. Its interior technology, its drive modes, its chassis tuning, all of it becomes the foundation for the next wave of Nissan EVs. The Ariya wasn't a failure. It was a test platform, a lesson, a preview of what Nissan wants to become. And when you look at the bigger picture, the timing makes perfect sense. The EV market right now is brutal. Prices are dropping. Competition is fierce. Companies are fighting for market share while trying not to lose billions. Ford slowed down Mach-E production. GM delayed several Ultium models. Tesla is slashing prices to keep sales strong. Even Hyundai and Kia, the rising stars, are struggling to keep margins healthy. So for Nissan, this was the strategic moment to pivot. Remove the one EV that couldn't compete on price. Shift resources to the models that actually have a fighting chance. Rebuild the lineup for the next decade instead of forcing an old plan that wasn't working. Let's be clear, the Ariya didn't fail because the technology was bad. It failed because it wasn't built for the world we live in right now, a world where incentives decide sales, where production efficiency is everything, where being $10,000 more expensive than your rivals is a death blow. Nissan saw that, and instead of pretending everything was fine, they made the hard choice. So as we close this out, let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. The Nissan Ariya didn't disappear because it was a bad car. It disappeared because the EV world changed faster than Nissan expected. It disappeared because the rules of the game shifted, and Nissan realized they were playing with the wrong strategy. And instead of digging themselves deeper, they made the tough choice to cut their losses and start fresh. In a way, the Ariya is going to be remembered not as a failure, but as a transition. A bridge between the Nissan of the past and the Nissan that's getting ready to fight for its future. A future where their EVs are built locally, priced competitively, and engineered for the realities of today's market, not the predictions of 2018. And honestly, this is the moment that separates the brands that adapt from the brands that disappear. We've watched companies cling to outdated strategies before, and we all know how that ends. Nissan didn't want to be one of those stories. So they're resetting, retooling, and reshaping their entire EV identity. The Ariya was the first draft. Now Nissan is getting ready to write the finished version. But what makes this story even more important is what it means for the rest of the industry. If Nissan, the company that launched one of the world's first mass-market EVs, is willing to pivot this aggressively, then you know the pressure is real. You know the competition is real. And you know the next few years in the EV space are going to be more unpredictable, more competitive, and more transformative than anything we've seen so far. So if you're someone who loves cars, loves technology, or just loves watching industries evolve, buckle up, because this ride is far from over. The end of the Ariya is not the end of Nissan's electric journey. It's the beginning of a new chapter, one that's going to reshape their lineup, their strategy, and maybe even their reputation in the US. So yes, the Ariya is gone. But the story doesn't end there, because what Nissan is building next, the locally produced, incentive-friendly, mass-market EV lineup, could be the comeback that the Ariya never got the chance to deliver. Sometimes a company has to sacrifice the first chapter to make the second one stronger. And right now, Nissan is writing that second chapter in real time.